a Canadian professional hockey player, would later become one of the biggest cannabis smugglers in North America. He saw smuggling as a side hustle, right alongside his promising hockey career. But that decision would cost him everything. His actions led to arrest, incarceration, and a lifetime ban from re-entering the USA. How did a rising star at the peak of his game end up a drug lord, to the point of earning the title, the Cannabis King of the North? Keep watching till the end as we unfold his wild, unbelievable story. Our story begins in 1975, in North Vancouver, British Columbia, a place known for its scenic beauty and vibrant community. Here, outdoor sports were a way of life. And nothing captured the heart of the youth more than one thing: hockey. Just like many other kids in North Vancouver, Ryan John Phillips grew up obsessed with the game. From a young age, he dreamed of playing in the NHL. Luckily, he had a strong support system: his father. Ryan was practically born with skates on his feet and a hockey stick in his hands, and his biggest cheerleader, his dad, was always right behind him. Pushing, encouraging, believing. Ryan was laser-focused. But chasing greatness was like enduring a marathon with no finish line. Still, every time he had the chance to play, he took it. By 16, he made a big move. He joined the junior hockey leagues in Canada. It was the fastest route to the NHL. In case you didn't know, the National Hockey League, NHL, is the top-tier professional ice hockey league in North America. It has 32 teams, 25 in the U.S. and 7 in Canada, and it's the 5th highest-grossing sports league in the world. But here's the bitter truth: there's no easy path to success. Was Ryan ready for the battles ahead? Ryan's early life wasn't without pain. Even with his talent and drive, the journey was far from smooth. The pressure of professional sports started early, and personally, he had it rough. One major struggle: his own teammates. As the youngest player on the team, the older guys took advantage of him. They bullied him hard. One night, it got brutal. They got him drunk, stripped him of his clothes, and left him passed out, naked, getting urinated on. When he woke up, the word "rookie" was scrawled all over his body. That was the breaking point. The dream was starting to collapse. Over the next 4 years, Ryan bounced between at least 14 households, including a stint in Vernon during the 1994-95 season. When he returned home, you'd think he would open up to his number one fan, his dad. But he said nothing. Instead, he turned to alcohol. He had no real friends. One night, desperate for distraction, Ryan walked into a bar and ran into an old friend, Kane. Kane was thrilled to see him. He introduced Ryan to his circle, guys with pockets full of cash. It was like watching someone hand out candy to kids on the street. Naturally, Ryan was curious. How was Kane making so much money? Then Kane asked him straight up, "You making anything yet?" Ryan said no. "Need a job?" Kane offered. Ryan didn't hesitate. He said yes. He didn't even ask what kind of job. Kane just told him, "Bring your hockey gear tomorrow." The next day, Kane showed up at Ryan's house. He met Ryan's mother, claimed he ran a music label, but Ryan's mom didn't buy it. She didn't like him. Still, she let him in. Later, Kane took Ryan to a remote apartment. That's when the real offer came. Kane placed a massive pile of marijuana on the table. Ryan stared, confused. People pay this kind of money for weed? In British Columbia, marijuana was practically part of the culture. It was grown in abundance. But in the United States, it was illegal, and that's exactly what made it so profitable. People were willing to pay top dollar, and smugglers were taking huge risks to meet that demand. Kane turned to Ryan. You down with this, bro? All you gotta do is take this stuff across the border for me. Easy work, man, easy work. Now start unpacking your bag. That's when Ryan understood why Kane asked for the hockey gear. Kane stuffed 20 pounds of marijuana into his hockey bag. Ryan was shocked, but he was also broke, and the cash sounded too good to pass up. He was only 19. The mission began. Ryan drove toward the border, an hour and 15 minutes away. He was nervous, really nervous. He noticed a border patrol car behind him. His heart was pounding, but then the patrol car turned away. The coast was clear. Next challenge, getting past the actual border guard. He looked the officer straight in the eyes and lied. I'm headed to Tacoma, Washington, for junior hockey. And just like that, he was waved through. Mission accomplished. Kane was thrilled. As a reward, he handed Ryan $11,000. That was huge money, especially for a struggling young athlete. From then on, Ryan started making regular weed runs. Each trip earned him another $11,000. He was finally living large, like Kane. But with every trip, his values were quietly slipping away. Then, something unexpected happened. Ryan was offered a pro hockey contract in the U.S. with the Wichita Thunder of the East Coast Hockey League. This was the dream, the big moment. His parents were overjoyed. Their son was finally on the road to greatness. But Ryan hesitated. The trauma from his old team, the abuse, the humiliation, it still haunted him. Eventually, he accepted. Maybe this was his chance to hit reset. Game day, 15,000 screaming fans. Ryan got on the ice. Within minutes, goal. His first pro goal. The crowd exploded with cheers. In the middle of it all, Ryan spotted a girl in the stands, smiling at him. Her name was Nicole. He asked his trainer to help him talk to her. When he teased her about his performance, she surprised him. She hadn't even been watching the game. Meanwhile, Kane was growing impatient. He hadn't heard from Ryan. The business was booming, and he wanted his star smuggler back. Kane reached out, but Ryan wasn't sure. This wasn't the life he wanted anymore. He had Nicole, he had hockey, and for the first time in a long time, he felt whole. But then, the drinking started. As a pro hockey player, Ryan never paid for a drink. Bars, bartenders, fans, free booze everywhere. After every practice, he'd drink heavily. Then, wake up the next morning, starting over. One day, after practice, Ryan went home. Nicole was waiting. She had news. She was pregnant. Ryan froze. He was only 20. He didn't feel ready. And his hockey income? Barely enough to support himself, let alone a family. Then came Christmas Day. The coach gathered the team. They had a big game ahead, and strict orders, no alcohol the night before. Unfortunately for Ryan, things spiraled out of control. He showed up drunk, too drunk to play in what could have been his comeback match. That single mistake cost him everything. He was immediately dropped from the team. Just like that, it was over. Realizing his hockey career was done for, Ryan turned back to the only thing he knew could bring in serious cash, smuggling. And one name popped into his head, Kane. But finding him wasn't going to be easy. So Ryan took Nicole to Kane's regular bar under the pretense of a casual wine night. But in reality, he was just hoping to bump into Kane. Nicole didn't like Kane, never did. So Ryan came clean, sort of. He told her he'd smuggled marijuana across the border last summer to make ends meet. Nicole's reaction was instant, pure disappointment. She stormed out of the bar, furious. Ryan's smuggling connections weren't just limited to Kane. He also had an old hockey buddy with something incredibly valuable, a pace-lane pass. For $500 up front, this sticker let border workers cross without inspection. It was a smuggler's dream, a golden ticket. At first, everything was going smoothly, but then Kane found out about it. Ryan watched in horror as Kane pulled a gun on the guy for doing side deals. That moment changed everything. Ryan realized this wasn't just about money anymore. It was guns, threats, real danger. He wanted out, fast. But Ryan already had contacts on the American side. He knew who to sell to. He even knew most of the growers in British Columbia. He was no amateur. So a few weeks later, he planned a solo run. This time, over 100 pounds of weed. But then Nicole walked in. She froze at the sight. Ryan's bed covered in green bricks. No denying it now, Nicole was furious. She reminded him that people in this business don't just end up in jail. Many end up dead. She didn't want to be a single mom. She didn't want their daughter, Katie, growing up without a father. That night, Nicole left Ryan and took Katie with her back to the U.S. Ryan begged her to stay, but it was too late. Her silence in the following weeks hit harder than anything else. The feeling of rejection crept back in. Ryan spiraled. Still, he wasn't giving up. He had already decided to go solo, and he had all the connections he needed. And so, Ryan doubled down. The lifestyle? Addictive. The money? Insane. He told himself, "This is the life, bro." But deep down, he knew it wasn't. The more he tried to pull out, the deeper he sank. Then came the idea. A backdoor route across the Canadian border. Rough terrain, remote, but possible. Just 2.5 hours outside Vancouver, he found a logging road, 12 kilometers long, that led right into the U.S. With a new smuggling route in hand, Ryan put together a crew of 4 hikers. Each would carry 25 pounds of weed on their backs. It would be a brutal 6 to 8 hour bushwhack. Normally, Ryan wouldn't have joined, but this was the first trip. He couldn't trust anyone yet. So he went along. The hike was tough, but they made it near the border. That's when things started to unravel. The driver on the U.S. side was late. Very late. Ryan's gut told him something was off. Eventually, the driver showed, but he was clearly shaken. He told Ryan he might have been followed. Panic kicked in. They needed to get out. Now, but it was already too late. A sudden thudding sound filled the air. A U.S. helicopter hovered directly above them. Busted. Ryan and his crew were dragged from the vehicle at gunpoint, faces in the dirt, hands behind their backs. Ryan's entire body trembled. He thought, "How did I get here?" He should have stuck to hockey. He'd finally found a team where the bullying had stopped, a team that accepted him. And now, this. His smuggling days had come to a crashing halt. In 2000, Ryan was officially arrested. But what happened before that is just as important. Flashback hook moment. Just weeks after being cut from his hockey team, Ryan became a father. You'd expect that to be a moment of joy, but for Ryan, it wasn't. Why? Because he was broke. He had no job, no future, no way to support a child. He spent the day his daughter, Katie, was born, drunk and high. Ryan later said he was celebrating becoming a man. But the truth, he was avoiding reality. By the time he got home, both his parents and Nicole were disgusted with him. He didn't care. He drank even more. Still, he picked up little Katie in his arms and whispered, "I'm your father. I'll always be there for you." But he wasn't. By the following year, Ryan was in a federal detention center. Charged with conspiracy to import over 100 pounds of marijuana into the U.S., he was considered a flight risk. That meant no bail, no sunlight, nothing. Ryan spent over 500 days without seeing the sky. He was held in a maximum security facility in Washington state. Inside, he heard inmates shouting, "New fish! We're gonna kill you!" He was terrified. His thoughts raced back to his family, his hockey dreams, his freedom, gone. He shared the prison with members of the Crips, Bloods, Mexican Mafia. One wrong look could get him killed. Then came the guards, some worse than the inmates. One day, a guard called him to his room. Ryan hesitated. What if this guy assaults me? But he went. The guard accused him of hiding drugs and made him strip. Ryan complied, humiliated and ashamed. That moment stripped away whatever was left of his dignity. His mother kept visiting. She never gave up on him. Ryan was eventually sentenced to 18 months and permanently banned from re-entering the United States. That meant no Nicole, no Katie. Sitting in that cell, he remembered Nicole's words when she walked away. And finally, it hit him. He had lost everything. But even behind bars, Ryan wasn't done yet. Because when one of the inmates asked where he was from, and Ryan said British Columbia, the guy smiled and asked, "Can you get us some BC Bud?" And just like that, Ryan's next chapter began. Keep watching to find out how prison became the turning point in Ryan's journey, and how BC Bud became both his curse and his comeback. Prison changed Ryan. In that cold, confined space, he found something he hadn't felt in years: clarity. For the first time, he realized the true value of freedom and what he had thrown away. But that clarity came with a shadow. He would never be allowed back into the United States, never see his daughter again. That thought broke him, an invisible sentence that hurt more than the bars around him. Desperate to fix what was broken, Ryan turned to counseling. He started slow, baby steps. Day by day, he tried to rebuild himself, and then he remembered his old love: hockey. Inside prison walls, he joined the team. It wasn't much, but it felt like home. A promise formed in his heart: he would be a better man. After 18 months, he walked out, a free man, but not really. Before his release, he signed papers agreeing never to step foot in the U.S. again. And just like that, the border became a wall between him and his daughter, Katie, his little girl. As he rode the bulletproof van back to Canada, Ryan stared out the window in silence. What if I never see her again? That question haunted him. But whatever transformation prison had sparked, it didn't last. Back in Vancouver, Ryan made a choice, the wrong one. He reconnected with old contacts from inside prison, formed a new crew. This time, it was bigger, smarter, and riskier. He had trucks modified to hide marijuana, a boat that could carry 400 pounds, and a plane that flew low enough to dodge border patrol, loaded with 250 pounds. With the new network, he was pulling in $250,000 per run. Shoeboxes turned into duffel bags into suitcases. He was rich, but empty. Katie was now 2.5. He tried to reach Nicole, her mother. No answer. Every call went ignored. That silence tore him apart. So he turned to cocaine, heavy doses. Every night out was another escape from the pain. But the escape became the prison. The drugs numbed him. The money blinded him. And soon his operation spiraled out of control. He began sourcing from anywhere: Russians, Mexicans, Chinese gangs, anyone who could supply. But the alliances came with enemies. He started receiving threats, accusations. One day, an unknown caller said he had stolen 70 pounds of marijuana. Another gang wanted answers, real ones. Ryan was terrified. The next day, he went to a restaurant in downtown Vancouver. He was cornered. The gang told him he owed $2 million. If he didn't pay, he would die. But this wasn't about marijuana. It was about 70 kilos of cocaine. Ryan wasn't a coke dealer, at least not in his mind. There had to be a mistake. They didn't care. He had 24 hours to prove his innocence. The next day, Ryan met them in a warehouse. Dark, cold, silent. They had guns, and one condition: pass a lie detector test, or die. Ryan's heart raced. One wrong answer, intentional or not, could be his last. The questions came one by one. Have you been to Los Angeles in the last 3 weeks? Have you ever stolen anything from Los Angeles? Have you ever stolen from this gang? Have you ever sold cocaine? Do you know where the 70 kilos are? Simple yes or no. But to Ryan, each was a loaded gun. He answered no to all, and waited. Breath held, hope fading. Then came the verdict. You're clean. Ryan was released, but something inside him shattered that night. Back home, he stared at his reflection. This wasn't who he wanted to be. I've chosen crime, drugs, and money over the 2 people I love most, Katie and Nicole, he whispered. He broke down, and then he made a choice. This time, a real one, to start over, for good. He was broke, no savings, no stash. Everything had been burned, by loans, bad deals, or karma. In 2011, Ryan started Return to Happiness, an initiative born from his pain. He began sharing his story, not for fame, but to warn others. He became a voice for at-risk youth, a beacon for the broken. But one dream still haunted him: to see his daughter again. Then, in 2012, the impossible happened. He was granted a humanitarian waiver. After 12 long years, Ryan stepped back into the United States. He held his daughter again. He kept his promise, this time for real. He devoted his life to activism, to fighting human trafficking, to being better. Today, Ryan is not just a survivor. He's a speaker, a mentor, a symbol of redemption. His story teaches us something powerful. We can't rewrite our past, but we can own our present and rebuild the future. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe our channel.